We were paged at 6:15, so we left the station at about 20 past. En route, we heard they had trouble finding the fire. The plume was seen from a long way away. We found the fire right at O'Brien's Crossing, maybe 100 metres wide at that stage, but moving up the hill quickly, quite a steep incline over rocky country. A lot of smoke, so it was really hard to establish how large the fire was. It looked like much larger than what it turned out to be. We had flames right up in the top of the tree, so it was moving along very well. And of course this is 6:30, so sort of peak heat of the day. There was little that we could do until air support and FFMV arrived with the heavy machinery.
Initially, local CFA crews from Greendale and Blackwood arrived on scene, immediately determined that a priority was to evacuate campers from the campgrounds.
We checked out Chadwicks and we found about 5 people camping up there, 18 people in total who knew nothing about the fire. They were without any mobile phone coverage in that location.
Fire had run to the top of the hill. The challenge for crews was the flanking fire that was working its way across the contour. Access was very limited due to terrain being very rocky, rising out of the river. We were expecting extreme fire weather the next day, so consolidating that eastern flank was a priority. So our options initially were to utilise our D4 dozer to gain access along the ridgeline and come in midway on the eastern flank was our best access point. We also used firebombing aircraft to suppress fire where crews were unable to access. And we had the benefit of working into the night with the night program bombing well up towards midnight, which helped us contain that eastern flank and complemented our burning out operation quite well. The initial first attack crew that arrived on scene on Tuesday afternoon worked through the night, and by next morning the shift had reached 20 plus hours. That crew was rested the next day with additional Midlands District resources manning the fire for the following day. So part of our suppression strategies over the past few days along the south side, crews have walked in on foot carrying hand tools, and we've made the decision to burn it out to bring the fire down to the river, which has put it in a great spot for our night shift to monitor. And with the high RH overnight reaching up to 80%, it was well contained overnight. One of the challenges faced was tying in that last southeastern flank from the top of the ridgeline down into the Lerderderg River to the south. The fire had burnt over the top of the hill into inaccessible terrain for hand crews, initially on that first shift. The next day the decision was made that the best option was to utilise lat drops into that gully, which tied it in with the river and the dozer line, holding the fire long enough for us to get our resources together and put that hand trail in. Once the hand trail was constructed, crews were able to place an 11,000 litre collar tank at the top of the hill and gravity feed down a hose lay, which aided in blacking out and suppressing any active fire in there. So over the coming days into the weekend, crews will look to consolidate the fire. It's currently sitting at contained. We'll look to get infrared line scans done, which will identify any hot spots that crews can target through the weekend and move the fire in the next coming weeks to safe.
Any fire in the Wombat Forest at this time of the year, especially the dryness, we haven't had good rain for 6 weeks, and it's a constant fear of a small town in the forest. And this fire was about probably 5 kilometres away from Blackwood. FFMV are doing all the work. We were there first and we sort of held the scene until they arrived, but lots and lots of arduous work by the guys, and they've done a really good job, especially on a day of total fire ban. To be able to keep it within containment lines was excellent.
I think this fire is a really good example of working as one. The initial response involved CFA, VicPol, Forest Fire Management, and the local community took note of the warnings that were put out and left the area quite promptly. An extremely good example of collaborating towards a common goal. People just need to keep looking at their Vic Emergency app and be ready for any updates, because things can happen very, very quickly. So people need to be aware, very much aware, until it's safe.